Hi guys, welcome to Twin Perspective. I'm Joe, and tonight I'm going to be breaking down my top 5 greatest albums by U2. U2 is a very popular band. They've been around for decades. I became familiar with them in the early to mid 80s, and they became a radio staple in the late 80s. Then they became this massive successful thing, and they've morphed a bit, but all in all the music's been tolerable. They're just not one of my favorite bands anymore, not like it was in the 80s when you know I would be happy. I was torn. Okay, so bands that I loved that nobody else even knew of throughout the 80s. And in the mid 80s, a lot of them started becoming popular, like REM, U2. So it was a love hate thing where I love the fact that we were being original and, you know, we didn't want to be part of the mainstream. At the same time, I wanted the band to have success so they'd keep recording. Seems like the more success these bands have, the more they change, but I'm going to keep U2. I'm going to keep it focused to the 80s and 90s, which is about as much as I could tolerate from them. Now, I've listened to every album they've done in the last 20 years, but they have a few good songs. I'm just not hip on the band anymore. So that's my perspective on it. Now you'll know where I'm coming from with these, and I hope I mention some of your favorites, because these are my top 5 greatest albums by U2. At number 5, I'm going with War from 1983. War is a great album. It features Sunday, Bloody Sunday. It features New Year's Day. Both of those are great hits. It also features Two Hearts Beat as One. I had an affinity for that one. Thought that was the best one on the album. I'm a sucker for pop. You think that I'd be loving U2, but, politics. Anyway, at number 4, I'm going with the Brian Eno, Daniel Lanois produced Achtung Baby from 1991. A great album. They became really successful with the Joshua Tree in 87. And they kind of rode that success into Achtung Baby. And they had several massive hits. The album features, among the songs I like, Even Better Than the Real Thing. One. Now, when One first came out, I was okay with it. And I could see all my friends around me just loved it, thought it was the greatest thing ever. And it grew on me. It is quite a beautiful song, probably one of the best songs ever written. So kudos to U2, and produced, by the way. For the gorgeous track One, Achtung Baby also features Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses, The Fly, and Mysterious Ways. And all of those did pretty well. All in all, I was kind of disappointed with Achtung Baby after the Joshua Tree, but overall, it's not a bad album. After the Joshua Tree, and my number 3 album, which is Rattle and Hum from 1988. Rattle and Hum kind of felt like a concert film / album. There was an album there, but really it was to get the live performances of the songs from the Joshua Tree. So I saw Rattle and Hum at the theater, and every time they played a live performance, we'd all get up in the theater and dance. You know, that was what was happening. It felt like a concert film. But the album that exists there that is, studio recordings are Van Diemen's Land, which is good, Desire, which was a huge hit, Angel of Harlem, another big hit, Love Rescue Me, I like that, When Love Comes to Town, B.B. King, that was a good hit, and probably my favorite, All I Want Is You. Love that. The live performances, including Helter Skelter, that I always love that version. And they do All Along the Watchtower. I don't know how Hendrix would feel about it, but they also do their own. I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For and Bullet the Blue Sky. Those are always fun to watch live. So, all in all, Rattle and Hum, 1988. Love it. Brings me to my number 2. And this is going to surprise some U2 fans probably. But I'm going with Zooropa from 1993. This is when I think Daniel Lanois kind of checked out, and Brian Eno was like, okay, let's get Flood in the mix, and then it'll just be us. And, Zooropa's a totally different beast than anything else U2's ever done. But there's some good songs there, and I liked it. I was interested in it. I kept listening to it, and the songs are great. So the opening track, Zooropa, if you kind of get away from the fact that this doesn't sound, a lot like U2, it sounds like something else. That something else is still pretty good for me. Babyface, very poppy, but catchy as all hell, beautifully produced. Numb, which was a big hit for them. The video was just awful. The Edge with a bunch of feet in his face and stuff. Another really poppy song, Lemon. I like Erasure and stuff like that. So Lemon to me is just, along those same lines. It also features Stay, Far Away So Close, and that's one of my favorites they've ever done. It's a really good song. I think the second half is even better. Daddy's Gonna Pay for Your Crash Car is one of my favorites. I love that one. Love the way it's produced. Some days are better than others, and that's just a great song. I love that one too. First Time is good. Dirty Day is good. And then we have The Wanderer featuring Johnny Cash. And that's one of the first ventures that I saw personally of Johnny Cash hooking up with alternative bands and doing stuff. And he did a lot of that at the end of his life. And The Wanderer is very weird. If people heard it and didn't know anything about it, they would know it's Johnny Cash singing. They'd have no idea who did the damn music. It's a clash, but I like it. So, Zooropa from 1993, that's my number 2, which takes me to number 1. Of course, it's going to have to be The Joshua Tree, with Daniel Lanois producing a masterful effort here. Perhaps, the best production of any album ever. I think Brian Eno and Lanois worked with them on The Unforgettable Fire, and that was a good album. But this one felt more like Lanois, and this one put U2 across the goal line for sure. Where the Streets Have No Name, one of my favorites they've ever done, no doubt. My band and I redid that one. Where the Streets Have No Name. I love that song. Gorgeous. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. It's just awesome. And the fact that they filmed it in Las Vegas was poignant. Uh, With or Without You, huge hit again. All of them were hits. With or Without You was strange. I was an adolescent at the time dealing with complicated emotions. And With or Without You that one kind of fit. It kind of hurt too much for me to like it. I didn't want to like it because I didn't want to know. But, yeah, it's the truth. It's a beautiful song. I think With or Without You is one of the best produced songs I've ever heard. Bullet the Blue Sky, great. Running the Standstill, love it. Red Hill Mining Town, fine. In God's Country, I always loved that song. I thought that was U2 kind of showing off, that was them at their best, doing their thing. Trip Through Your Wires, okay. One Tree Hill, okay. Exit, okay. Mothers of the Disappeared, okay. But when you start, with an album, you start an album with 7 such strong songs in a row. Beautiful job overall. The Joshua Tree, that's my number one. I guess it had to be that way. U2 has had a bunch of great albums in the last 20 years. I like them. I listen to them, and there are songs in there I really like. I'm just not a fan of a band anymore where I'm not going to buy them and listen to the entire albums over and over again. So I confess to that much. But they were, they were there in my life the whole time. The band and I almost learned Two Hearts. We thought about that one. We tried to do Pride in the Name of Love, but, we wasn't good enough. We couldn't pull it off. We couldn't make it sound good at all. That was a great song from The Unforgettable Fire. That Pride is about MLK. And let's just say that if Bono gave a shit, okay, he'd stand up and use his fucking voice for MLK to this day. And I'll just leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joe. This has been Twin Perspective. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 for more videos like this. And I'll see you in the trees. Bye.